we got to go to the beach.
And not the Oregon coast, because it's lovely and beautiful, but it's also cold.
It's the coast. This was the beach.
Swimsuits, playing in the water as long as you want. Warm, warm.
Yeah. We are the learners and makers.
Growing up in Virginia, going to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina was a pretty regular thing for me and my family. It was, if not annual, then just about. I have a lot of fond memories of playing in the water, learning to boogie board, walking on the beach and collecting shells. And when we go to see my family there, we spend a few days in my hometown of Roanoke, Virginia, and then we spend a few days at the beach with my dad and my grandma and usually a couple of my aunts. And it's really special because, you know, we've been there when each child was really little and they're just, you know, playing with sand way up on the beach. We've been there when they're just splashing about at the very edge of the water. This time was pretty different.
Connor made up a new sport while we were in Hawaii, and it's called boogie board wrestling.
Watch for it at your future Olympics.
So he was pretty set on doing some boogie board wrestling while at the beach this time. Although we quickly discovered that there were more waves than the beach that we were at in Hawaii, and boogie board wrestling wasn't as much of a thing. So it just turned out to be
You're right. Getting some good ones over here. What do you like about being at the beach, Connor?
The boogie boarding!
The boogie boarding. Boogie boarding is fun! North Myrtle Beach. A little cloudy. It's a beautiful morning. Nice and cool. Water is way rougher than I feel like I've ever been in it before, and I've come here off and on my whole life. But boy, it's a nice day to be on the beach with my family. And part of what is so cool is that Connor's enjoyed taking a board out, but this time he was really getting it. And the thing too is when you're trying to boogie board, and the surf was also kind of rough for Myrtle Beach. There were even a few times that the lifeguards had to have everyone get out of the water. There were some times where Connor really got scraped up along. He got spilled pretty hard a few times. And there were definitely a few times where like, oh, he's probably coming out for a little while to get a breather. No. Grab that
jump
board.
right back in.
I think there was one time he came up and like held my hand for just a few seconds and just
Yeah.
back.
Tough kid.
Yeah. And very exfoliated, I would imagine.
So Aster started by like just jumping in the waves, and I'd say she spent a lot of the time there doing that and collecting shells. They're huge shells.
And baking sand cakes.
Baking sand cakes, which is a regular beach activity.
Yes. What are you making?
Cake.
Cakes? What about any pies?
Is this one a cake?
This one is a cake, the other one is a pie.
What kind of cake and what kind of pie?
How about we wash the shells in that bucket?
Ooh.
Fill it with water.
That's a great idea. Thanks for suggesting it.
Chocolate and the cake is shell.
A chocolate cake and a cherry pie?
No,
A chocolate pie. And a what?
a cherry cake.
A cherry
Ooh. Great-grandma Nisi's mama, she used to make an amazing chocolate pie. It was one of Daddy's
Here,
favorites.
Connor, dump this one too.
Okay.
Astor tried to
Yeah. Any beach impressions, my love?
It's so full of shells.
It is, I think, more than I ever remember.
It being that way.
Yeah. Yeah, especially walking across them.
Yes. They're little sharp shells.
A little bit.
Oh, I bet this one's done.
Ooh, is that one coming out of the oven?
In the oven you go.
Oh, that looks so tasty. Thanks for baking, Astor.
Towards the end, Astor figured out that she could kind of boogie board as well. She has
Floaty board.
a floaty on that goes across her chest and around her arms, and she figured out that she could lie on her belly and the waves would push her along because she floats. So
It was so cool. And she figured this out all on her own. This wasn't something we suggested or Connor was doing or something. This is just something that came together. She got really good at it. And she too took a few spills. We're like, oh, nope.
she kind of tumbled over and get hit by a wave.
Get right back up and go back out. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was such a good reminder of how often, obviously you give safe parameters around the beach in terms of, ocean safety. But this was such a good reminder too of when your children have a solid understanding of what's okay, and you give them a good framework, they can really surprise you in wonderful ways and are so resilient and imaginative.
Mm-hmm. Since we did have such a long period of shell collecting,
we had, like 20 pounds of shells?
It was a lot of shells.
Hey, we're not all coming home.
No. It's a big bucket full of shells, lots of pieces of shells. So we wanted to find a way to recognize the shells, celebrate the shells.
Yeah. As any parent who has done any bit of beach combing with a small child knows, sometimes sure the kid might totally forget about them. More often than not, the shells that need to be left behind can be quite the departure day meltdown. So we wanted to try to avoid that. And luckily, Jody is brilliant and is here to solve this problem for you.
So on our last day of the beach, we made a shell mandala. And I'm sure you've seen kind of beach artwork like that before. It was something for us to leave behind. We left it kind of right at the edge of where high tide might come up. When we are close to water on trips, Anthony and I have always really enjoyed going kayaking. It's something we did on most of our trips before we had kids, and we didn't for a little while they were really little. But our first kayaking trip was when we were in Hawaii last year.
We thought they were old enough to where we could try it out, and having Jody's parents with us, we're like, okay, this is a good chance to give this a go.
Yeah. So we decided to go ahead and go again while we were at North Myrtle Beach, and we are so glad that we did. It was a lovely kayak trip. We decided to try out these glass bottom kayaks, and for this particular trip, I don't think I would like that paddle, I don't think I would do those
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, you definitely want to be in a clear water area.
It's got to be really clear. And this water it wasn't really clear. And the other thing about the glass bottom kayaks was that a little bit of wind would really kind of push you along. And we had just enough wind that we kept getting kind of pushed in the wrong direction. So
When we were deciding how we wanted to do this kayaking adventure, we decided to go with a little guided tour. And we found a company that did a salt marsh tour. So you're still really close to the sea. I mean, I think we were still less than a mile away from the ocean. But you are, instead of paddling around the surf, you are in this grassy, flat salt marsh area. There's tons of birds. There's fish leaping out of the water. And the amazing thing, too, is how quiet it was.
it was just so peaceful.
Yeah.
Which was nice after many days of hearing kind of the
ocean is incessant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just really lovely to kind of have this, still be on the water and still be enjoying being close to the ocean, but at the same time, this is very quiet and peaceful.
And be in
paddle.
such a neat ecosystem
Mhm.
that the kids hadn't
Really
gotten to see
unique.
before. And that was a really special place.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on our adventures. You can find us on Instagram at Learners and Makers.
And also, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you get notified when we put out a new video.
We'll see you next time.
Bye! So,